Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Nation episode 13. Today's topic Attack on Titan episode 76 77. But before we get into our discussion, if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, feel free to give us a good rating on that platform. It helps the algorithm and helps us grow our audience. If you're watching on YouTube, consider dropping a like and sub. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications for all our shows like the Penultimate Game Show, Marvel Mondays Initiative, and the Cross Media Show. If you're watching on Twitch and have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime Gaming, which means you have one free sub to give out. We'd love if you gave it to us, but if not, that's quite alright. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ryan, host of Anime Nation, and I have some lovely guests here to talk all things Attack on Titan. First off, I got Mr. Movie Reviewer from Large Popcorn, from podcast PXN, my boy, Cristian. How's it going, Cristian?
That's me. Happy to be watching anime again and talking about it again. I missed you guys.
I've also missed this. And last but certainly not least, the queen of Final Fantasy XIV from Point in Progress, Fi. How's it going, Fi?
It's going great. It has been too long, guys, and I'm super excited to talk about Attack on Titan with you guys.
Uh, just before we get into that, we just have some light housekeeping. The
Hmm.
schedule is back up on the website, so definitely go check at penultimateconquest.com for what streams we'll be doing that week. It's updated weekly, so definitely check that out. And if you have any thoughts on any of the shows you see us doing upcoming, put something down on a speak pipe. What you're thinking about at speakpipe.com/penultimateconquest. Now let's dive right in to just first impressions of this season, people. Cristian, what were some of
Oh,
your first
me.
impressions of this? Yeah,
Oh
I'm starting with
God.
you.
Okay. Legit. Okay. I'll be legit. I'll be straightforward with you, Ryan.
Yeah, talk to me.
So far, I've really been enjoying this season. I mean, it's still the same season, right? But part two, I don't know. Like tonally, it feels much more different than part one. Like I was thinking about this washing dishes the other day. Like it feels like I'm finally ramping up to some kind of climax and finale, and like just inherently that's exciting for me. And seeing all these characters finally be in like this one location, all coming together, all these ideologies like coming together and clashing, that is like fantastic on so many levels. So like the payoffs are it's right around the corner, and like that is very exciting. So I've really been enjoying part two.
All right. And what about you, Fee?
Wow. Where like I completely agree with Christian. Last season it felt like a lot of dialogue was happening, whereas we just came it right into action. These past two episodes were just bang bang bang, like constant brutality, quite honestly. I in my notes, I just have brutality throughout my notes just because of the fighting, just the chaos that's ensuing. Like everyone who we keep on cutting to has some sort of chaos happen. The best way to put it is chaos. There's utter chaos
Hmm.
ensuing in one area. And to just try to put it into perspective, like the last two episodes are essentially within an hour period of what's been going on. Like we saw from last season, which was Aaron confronting Yelena and the others, and Pike coming, and we find out that Pike's actually been not on the side of Marley, but on the side of her friends and the people that she's grown and actually worked with, and to find some way to find some sort of peace and trying to figure out what's everyone's going. This is almost as if you took a the chaos and just like the amount of maneuvers and changes and different pieces moving at once. It felt very much like if you took an entire season of Game of Thrones and put it in two episodes. Because you have people moving sides, you have people joining people, you have people dying, you have like chaos, you have someone's head getting ripped off. It is utter chaos. Just I yes, the word that I would like to just explain is just pure chaos, and I'm so for it.
I definitely have to agree with it. We are winding down. It is getting to that end point that's going to be so exciting to see. And it just started at the perfect spot for where I would split where what we had left in half. Because it's just straight a run to the finish line now. And we're seeing how destructive and violent of a run it is going to be to that finish line.
Mhm.
I do miss some of the dialogue parts of a part of season 1 of season
Mm.
4 part 1.
Yeah.
I liked that. It was interesting. I wish we got to know more about the Molians before all of this happening. I wish we got to spend maybe one more season with them, so I had a bit more care for some of these characters. But for the time span they have and for what they're doing, I think it's going really well. And with that, I want to throw this over to Fee for episode breakdown because no one takes extensive notes of Attack on Titan like Fee.
Oh my god,
Did you write
guys.
notes again for at 76 and 77?
I wrote 6 pages, that is including both episodes.
You're insane.
Um,
I love it.
so yeah, it's been kind of nuts, guys. They are a little bit less detailed. It's not just completely like this person moved this way, but I still wrote a lot of notes.
Mm.
And it is a lot of it was oh my goodness. It has been utter chaos. And I know I keep on saying that, and I'm going to stop saying chaos. There should just be a chaos counter at the bottom of just how many times I've said this. But no,
On
I
it.
think yeah, fantastic. We started off the first episode of season 4, part 2, where it was kind of a continuation, which was actually great to see, which was Hanji, Flock, and some of the Jaegerists found Levi in the middle of this plain, essentially dead, beside a brook. And Hanji tries to tell them like he's dead. There's no reason to continue with him. But Flock's a little bit smarter, even though I still put him in my notes as fuckface the entire time because I still don't like this guy. This has not continued. There, I've had some changes when it comes to certain characters, but Flock will continue to have his particular nickname in my notes. And he says, "Well, I don't believe you. I have to check his pulse." But right as he said that, almost as if it was like a sitcom where they get like the cue instantaneously after something has been said, we see the Titan that had been carrying Zeke starting to smoke, and Zeke comes out of the body almost normal. He looks fresh. He is with his usual 6 to 8 pack, depending on the actual like vantage that we have. But his eyes are different. He's seen some things, and he's explained that he ended up in a realm where a young girl was rebuilding his body out of sand, and that he believes that he was there for almost years, but at the same time it was almost instantaneous. And he realizes that he may have saw the paths, which has been a constant note throughout the series, which has been kind of just like visually something that's been shown, even from season 1 up until this point. And so it's really interesting to finally have kind of like a name for it,
Mm.
which they've kind of mentioned it in some cases, but the full aspect of it is the paths, which I feel as though we'll definitely be seeing a lot more of it.
Yeah.
And so
So, so I saw this and I
yeah.
immediately had to pause the anime and I was like, okay, it's time to watch like a 30-minute recap of what's going on, just because at this point I need it for myself. And
Yeah.
then second, like I can't wait to figure out what's going on with this because there's no doubt. I mean, it'll come back. Manga readers, of course, you guys know, but I don't.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you if you'd read the manga yet, so this definitely makes it a lot more interesting. Okay,
Hmm.
so removing half of my, no, I'm just joking. I didn't leave notes about that because I had an assumption. This is just specifically the anime, so I didn't leave any notes about the manga. But Hanji, being the smart person that they are, took this as an advantage and just jumped into the river with Levi.
Hmm.
Status unknown for Levi. He is still not looking great. If as if we've seen this in multiple occasions with other characters, when you can tell that there's been a death in Attack on Titan, their eyes kind of like go into this dark, almost like hollow aspect, and it becomes very dark. We saw that with Levi, and so we don't really know the status of Levi at this point, other than the fact he's now going down the river with Hanji. And then we get to see one of this opening was
Yes.
insane. What? It went hard from the get-go and then continued on, and oh my god, it was just so
it
like, it was great.
It reminds me a lot of like the first Death Note opening.
Yep.
Is
That's what
what
I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of Death Note.
I was
Like
like, okay, Attack on Titan.
for
They're
me, it's
getting a
both
little
Jujutsu
edgy
Kaisen
now.
and Death Note.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
just were like they had this almost like military-esque type of song with the last one where they just showed like the armies and just like very like straightforward. But then this one was just like, we need you to realize that this is going to go hard this entire season, and they just like went with the punches. And seeing Aaron's different perspectives, and then also having the lyrics in English, which was I think was really
Yeah.
smart. It had a lot of an impact, and some of the actual verbiage that was used in the lyrics in the opening reflect in the ending, which is kind of crazy. So I'll talk about that later on. But it is crazy. I've been listening to that song and the closing song on repeat just because there's so much going on.
I
It's
will I will add that my TikTok is filled with people working out to the intro to that song, and it's like, damn, dude, same.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's You wanna go hard, you wanna, like, get pumped for the day, listen to that
Yes.
song.
Yes.
Make coffee, put your headphones on, and listen to that song. I see a lot of those TikToks where it's just like, "This is what I'm at 8:59, and then this is what I am at 9 AM," and then it says, like, 8:58, it says, like, listening to this song or, like, some crazy music, and then at 9 o'clock, it's just like, "Okay, so let's talk about statistics." So I've been,
Oh
like,
my
bringing
god.
up the information on my Excel chart, and so it's just, like, it's completely two perspectives, and that's how I feel like in the morning. I listen to this song and I get ready for work. Um, it's just so, so, so good. Yeah, so we come back from the banger of an opening to Aaron transforming. This is from the get-go, just like bang, bang, bang. We see Pick talking to Gabby, telling her that I wasn't a traitor. I just want to protect my friends and the people who I've grown to become associated with, which honestly, that's I agree. I would
Mm-hmm.
understand where Peck's coming from. Like, hey, like I don't trust Marley. I'm not fighting for Marley. I'm fighting for the people who I love and who I care about and the people who I've worked with. And so even though yes, the Marleyan like empire was not a great thing, a lot of these people grew up with it. Like Peck and the rest of the warriors grew up with the Marleyans, and just because the empire that is Marley and the Marleyans, like specifically, was a terrible. The people that they worked with cared about them. We saw that a lot last season as well with Peck's entire team. When she found out that her team had passed away, like during the fight in Lombario, she got super upset. Like she just lost it in a way. So I feel like it was a good showing of like she's there to protect the people that she cares about.
Right.
But then instantly loses her hand and falls off the edge, which I still will never I when I read the manga, didn't understand it. She's like, "It hurts," and falls off the edge.
Like goodbye,
I'm
Peck.
like,
It
"Girls,
was a
I
good
get it."
run.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, but why did you decide, which we find out later on, it was strategic that she did this, but at the same time, like, at the split second that you see her falling from the wall, you're like, why did you fall off the edge like that?" And they're like, "Oh, you're changing. That's why you don't wanna kill
Yeah.
Gabby in the process."
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's, just the transition was just too good.
I know it's coming up, but just on this, when Gabby goes into her mouth, disgusting. Like that was
Yeah.
just gross.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. It was bad.
I would never
Yeah.
get in a Titan's mouth. Just that's not. I wouldn't do that.
That seems to be, like, a regular theme for Peck, though, because that's what she did with Zeke
Mm-hmm.
in season 3. She just puts Zeke in her mouth.
Gross.
Just just vibing, just chill it out. She could have taken him. She could This is, you know what? All of this is Peck's fault because she could have taken the founding Titan, like specifically the
Yeah.
Beast Titan at that point. Zeke could have died. None of this would have happened. No, I'm not putting this blame on Peck. I'm just making a joke about it. But no. We see the Marleyan soldiers, including Reiner, which is really exciting to see. Happy to see him back. Decided not to do what he was almost doing last season, which we will not talk about. We saw Commander Boris and the other military troops in the blimps coming in. Oh, sweet Elena has gone off the walls at this particular point, and we'll talk about that throughout the entire time because she went kind of crazy. By the way, side note, it is her birthday today. On January 21st, it is Yelena's birthday.
She's an
So
Aquarius.
she's an Aquarius, which explains a little bit. So um she warns Aaron not to fight essentially because there's so many Marlians there that she knows by this point they probably do have Reiner and up coming in the back, which is my apologies, my cat's in the background going nuts. The jaws tighten as well, and so she's essentially trying to warn him, but he does not listen. In typical Aaron fashion, he decides to go off and try to fight. So he armors up by crystallizing and then proceeds to head off by himself because he thinks that he can get through it. Um, yeah. And especially the disadvantage overall were the blimps because the blimps
Hmm.
have a lot going on. Marley soldiers start jumping out of the blimps, including Reiner changing midair, which crisped transition. Um, yeah, this is the particular point where Peggy loses her hand. Oh,
How did you feel about
God.
the animation of the Titans this because I know last season people were kind of complaining that it was like it looked like too much CGI. I think this time around there's like a little bit of shading going around that or like the CGI just isn't as prominent. I didn't notice it as much,
Oh, you
but
see,
I
I
still
think it
think they
looks
look good.
real bad.
Really?
There's
Like
some parts where it's like when especially when he's like I think it was when Reiner was running. No, it was when it was Aaron and Reiner were running. You could see the CGI really prominently in Aaron's hands. Where you see
Mm,
like the crystallization, it's just the way that the lines are, which honestly, for what it is and what they need to do this season, I do not mind the CGI. For the
yeah.
most part, I'm usually like I'm not the biggest fan of CGI when it comes to animation, especially when it comes to the type of style that Attack on Titan has. But for what they need to do this season, I'm like, kudos to you guys. You guys released so much this season, like the past year and a half, that like taking some CGI moments to be able to do what you need to do later on in the season, um, it's
I'm that's
respectable.
what I'm hoping is that they're saving a lot of their budget for major things that happen later. I hope this isn't just the standard of animation for all of it because there are all things later on that I would like to see in really crisp, well done
Yeah.
animation.
There
Is
were some
this
times that were really crisp though
There
mm,
during
were.
the fights.
is this season going to be insane?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You think the last 2 episodes,
Like end of Evangelion insane
Oh
Christian.
my god. Shut up. No, I don't nothing gets me more excited than that. Okay.
I don't even like, I don't know if you watched the promo for next episode, but, next episode is going to fucking go off the rails. So,
Okay.
yeah,
We're
2
going
brothers, guys, 2 brothers, but I don't wanna get ahead of myself. Yeah. So, by this point, you can it was kind of nice to see for a split second that the commander actually cares for the warriors because he just takes Gabby and gives her a huge hug. He's just like
Mhm.
happy to see her and be able to see that she's alive. So it showed some sort of humanity for a split second. I know that I made comments on the commander and Gabby and a number of the other ones last season, but I think that this kind of shows some humility and kind of goes hand in hand with why Peck wants to protect and like fight with the Marlians because even though they might not have like agree with everything, they still have like their care for each other and the fact that he probably has known these kids since they were literal children. Like not even like obviously they're children here, but I mean like literal like little kids, like little infants and be able to see
Mhm.
them grow up this way. There's still going to be that care. So it was nice to see Colt comes in frantically looking for Falco, and Gabby has to tell him the bad news that he consumed Zeke's spinal fluid with everyone else when it comes to with the wine. So this was a terrible thing for Colt to find out. He finds out that over 300 soldiers, including Falco, have been detained because they drank the spinal fluid of Zeke, and they're currently being held um, in one building. And she points it out, saying that they're over there, they're all locked up together. Um, and so Yeah. Uh, yeah, so they comment on the fact that, like, now we have the founding titan and the titan with the royal blood. Zeke remembers Gabby remembers what Zeke said on the blimp in the last season. So realizing
Mhm.
that this is the whole plan all along was for Zeke and for Aaron to come together to be able to start whatever. They didn't know it, like, at this particular point, I'm saying whatever it is because Gabby doesn't know the full plans. She doesn't know the fact of, like, the rumbling and stuff like that. She, like, as far as I know, she doesn't, except maybe because of the meeting that they had, like, the table, whatever that might be. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They just need to bring the two together, and she's kind of relaying this back to Boris and Colt. And so they kind of continue on with the conversation. Yeah. Peck puts together all the parts because she has big brain energy. She always seems to do this,
Yeah.
like, throughout the last season that we've known her. She's just like, "Oh, yeah, these are all the pieces. This is why they wanna come together. This is what they need to do to be able to start the rumbling." So that's why they need to continue to work together, and puts together the fact that Zeke's parents were, restorationists, and the leaders of the restorationists, so that it's possible that he does have royal blood, and that's why they wanna get together. Um, so yeah, the commander says that they're not protecting Marley anymore, but the world. They need to. They're not planning on killing the founding titan. We're not here to kill the founding titan and put them and put off the problem. We'll eat the founding titan and end 2,000 years of malice. AKA either Reiner or the Jaws Titan, specifically eating Aaron. So then the Aaron and Reiner fight happens.
Yes.
Guys, this was insane.
Yeah. This is great.
It's it's up there with it's one of the best Titan fights I've seen in the show.
It's so good.
Probably right below the first time they fought in like season 2 at the wall.
Yeah.
It was so good.
No,
Anytime Reiner fights, I just love watching the way they do Reiner's fighting animations and everything.
yeah, he went off. So there was the Armor Titan, the Jaws Titan, and they keep on referencing Aaron as the founding Titan at this point, and they're just going off. We see the Jaws Titan flying around trying to take out the back of Aaron, but Aaron obviously knows this and crystallizes his neck. And then Reiner and the Jaws Titan essentially find themselves being founding kebabs by getting
Yeah.
speared through the bodies, and they couldn't move, so they're stuck in that particular position. But before he's able to get a full fatality, we see Aaron getting shot in the face. A full, like, just it was I knew what was coming, but I was not expecting the amount of, like, one, gore, and two, just like the amount of impact that it had that particular point. Because we find out that they have a new turret. Which, by the way, how the hell did they make a new turret in less than a month? They're just like, okay, we need to make one specifically for the founding titan, and they just make a brand new one.
That's military for you. Military spending.
I guess, but it was insane.
My
It,
I
props here is to the sound design because I forget how like grotesque the show can be. Like the sound
oh
of like
yeah,
first of all just that being shot, like it being loud, and then like the sound of it ripping through the neck, and then just the sound of the screams. I always forget how disgusting the Titan screams are. Like very guttural.
yeah,
So yeah.
it's so good. I was dumbfounded by this particular point, and, like, when I was even reading it, I'm just like I had to do the math. I'm like, "How long ago did they leave Labario? Because how fast did they have to come up with this particular plan, make a brand new turret?" Because they said it's a brand new one, because, the fight in Labario kind of messed up her machine gun that was on her back anyway. So it was interesting to see. They do mention later on, yeah, it was less than a month ago. They mention it, like, later on in the episode that it's been less than a month since they came from Labario. So I'm like,
That's fast.
okay, that's fast. I know it's military, but that's fast, guys.
Well,
um,
someone in the next episode even two comments about like how do they come together like this quickly,
yeah,
right? How do they assemble this many troops? Like yeah.
yeah. Man, it was just it's insane. Either way,
it was
it's
one of my favorite scenes in that whole episode of just the shock value alone.
just the shot in
Mm,
Aaron's
Yeah,
head.
just the
Yeah.
shock value of it all. Just straight. I was not. I completely spaced that whole part from the long. I was like, I remember something big is coming up. I think it's just I think it doesn't involve any of this though. And then I'm like, oh wait, no it does. I
Hmm.
forgot Court Titan is mounted on the wall now.
Yeah, I agree. I forgot for a split second because I'm like, "Oh, so wait, did like for a minute like split second, I thought that one of the Jaegerists shot him and I'm like, "Who would what?" And then I'm like, "Oh wait, yes, the cart titan. How did I forget about this particular like point because it was one very fast. Two, it was just something that other because there's so many things that happen over the course of like what we're going to see over the next is it 14 episodes? It is
Wow. That-
I think
12
it's
left,
6
14 total, right?
it's a 14 total. Okay, so then in the
Is
next
that
12
right?
episodes, there's a lot of stuff that happens. So this is
I'm gonna fact check us.
yeah, go for it.
On it. Amount.
This is season 4. There's 28. How many were in part 1?
Oh, that's a great question.
There
I
were
thought there was
16. So there's
yeah, that
16, 14 left.
okay, cool.
Is it 14 left? And is it ending at 14 or are we still doing the
Wait.
movie thing?
We're doing a movie.
Okay.
There is a movie.
So we
can't.
probably won't have conclusion to this till 2023, I feel.
Or like yeah, I would probably say the like we're looking at like December or 2023.
December? There's no way.
It's
That would
there's
be
a
so
movie.
soon.
There's oh, I mean
Depends on how much work they have done on the movie.
That's
But
yeah,
it's
that's
that's
true.
also it's Mappa and they're making like 8 shows a season now. So
I don't know. They've been cranking it out. So I'd probably say like maybe January, like December or January of next year.
hopefully it releases in time with US and around world because
If they don't, I will be so mad.
I don't want a
Yeah.
Mugen Train debacle where I couldn't see that movie for like 5 months.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
Okay.
Here's fingers crossed.
So, sorry.
No worries.
Season 4 is 28
Mhm.
episodes total. There were 16 in part 1.
So
There's
12
12.
episodes.
Yeah, I did the math wrong. And then Two
Alright, I
Brothers
was
is
right.
next. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two brothers.
Two brothers. Two brothers.
um yeah.
Where are we at now?
I have more to say
He's shot.
about Sneak Attack
Oh,
episode.
alright.
That one's
Did
like
it
stuck out to me a bit more.
did it end with him getting shot in the face?
No, that was the midway point of the episode because they end up
Shut up.
that's the midway point because there's an entire scene. Oh yeah, because right at the point he gets shot in the face, that's when they go with like the midway point where they're like, following the raid of Labario, the Card Titan's turret was damaged. New gear was designed to defeat the founding Titan. And then I put in my notes, how long has it been since Labario? How did they make it this fast?
3.5
My notes
weeks.
yeah, it's apparently 3.5 weeks. So yeah, there are 3 men on our back, including the commander, and they have a specific discussion about what's going on and what their next steps are. This gives an opportunity for Reiner and the Jaws, and I know I keep on saying Jaws Titan. Will I admit the fact that I forget the name of this warrior? Absolutely, I will, because I keep
Isn't
on
it?
forgetting his name. There,
I in my head is Himmlick, and I know that isn't it, but that feels right.
I mean, it feels right, yeah. So that's why I'm just defaulting
So
to
I've got my
Jaws Titan. We're and like they make their escape, and then the Jaws Titan just gets cocky and tries to take out Aaron again. Does not work. Just does not work. The cart shoots again. The Warhammer is strong, but they mentioned the fact that this kind of gives kind of a perspective on the fight from last season with the Warhammer Titan that it's incredibly strong, but you tire out very easily if you use its abilities.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gives us some insight of what happened last season and why she just wasn't like going off and just continuing on because she was super strong at the beginning of the fight and then she kind of like slowed down a little bit. That's because there was a lot of like reset, like a lot of time that you need to take to be able to regain your strength. Um, yeah, and they mentioned the fact that Willie Tiber's sacrifice was not in vain because they did this particular fight. Reiner tells Aaron enough,
Galliard.
but
It's a Galliard.
Mm.
Galliard. Oh my god, it's Galliard. I don't. I always remember Colt. I remember Falco. I do not remember Galliard. I don't know why. Galliard's
No.
just like we barely see this
Poor
guy.
dude.
I'm not
Poor
gonna
dude.
lie. So I'm sorry, Galliard. Your jaws to me. It's still not an insult. You do really good. But Reiner versus Aaron does not work well. Reiner loses. We're gonna we're just gonna say it. Even though Reiner takes one of the spikes and tries to take Aaron out, it does not work well. And then there's a whole entire point where Onion Copen runs down to the dungeon where the others are and tries to convince them to help, and a lot of them are like, absolutely not, including Connie. Connie's just like, are you absolutely nuts? Like, why do you
Connie
want
is
us to help
so
you?
done with the bullshit.
Understandably
I,
so.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I put in my notes, Connie tells him to go F himself, which is essentially what happens. And that it's Onion Copen's and like Yelena's and everyone else's fight, and that they have no purpose to be there. They're just like, leave us out of this. This is your fault. Whatever's happening above us is on you guys. We are not a part about this anymore. But then Armin tries to put themselves back into the fight, explaining that they need to fight with Aaron. They need to work with him because obviously what happened last season does not, whatever happened, that was a lie. Obviously, Aaron has something that's going on, and I don't think Armin wants to admit, like, accept the fact that his friend would like want them to fail, and they don't. He would not want the euthanization plan to happen, which for people who don't remember from last season, that is the plan where none of the Eldians are allowed having kids anymore. They're just going to stop having kids. They're going to use the founding titan ability to say that no one can have any more children, and so the Eldian people will die off. Which is the entire purpose of Aaron and Zeke coming together, because the only way for the founding titan abilities to work is if he's in touch or with contact with a titan of royal blood, which the only person currently accessible to him and the only person that he will use without worrying about hurting, because that's why Hesia's not even here, is Zeke. And so that's why they need to bring Zeke and Aaron together.
Yeah,
So
Zeke.
yeah,
Why would
for
you yeah
Zeke.
Zeke?
I'm
No.
a big fan of Zeke.
Are
I
you?
mean,
For
He is
what?
my personal favorite Titan. I think he's the most interesting character in the show. He's playing every side at all times. And I find that very interesting.
Mm. See, for me,
yeah,
as a non-manga reader, Armin was making some interesting points. Like, maybe Aaron actually isn't being antagonistic at all. Maybe there's, I don't know if the answers are as clear as he's saying. Like, oh, he's like just lying for now. But I do think there is like some kind of ulterior motive. Like, Armin has convinced me that Aaron has something else up his sleeve. As to what it is, I don't know.
sure.
Please don't tell me.
I think the only I think one of the most heartbreaking points of this was when they asked what Mikasa wanted to do, and she's just they asked like, will you like help us help Aaron, and she's just like, I will. But she just seems so sad the last two episodes, and it just kind of
Oh,
kills me.
it broke me when she's like, "I'll help," but I don't know if that's me wanting to help or just because I'm an Aquaman. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit."
So now she's just contemplating like, do I actually love this man? Do I like actually care about him? Is my entire friendship slash like what I've been envisioning our futures to be just because of this like essentially this blood oath to the founding titan. So she's just trying to figure out why she like actually cares about him. So she's kind of being very comprehensive because she's honestly, like, even though, like, the whole Ackerman bloodline thing, like, Levi and Mikasa are usually some of the most level-headed people when it
Mm.
comes to, like, fighting and just calling people out on their BS, and so I feel like she's just kind of locked up at this point because of her just overwhelming, like, feeling of, "Do I actually care about him?" The headaches are, like, what are causing like, you know that this is a problem because I keep on getting headaches, and they explain this Ackerman blood allegiance or like blood pact essentially is the best way to put it, is because it's a kind of like an indicator of this because of those headaches. Um
Yeah, I
and
like the
s-
way the 76 really started, really interrogating the way Mikasa like felt like betrayed based off of Aaron's words at that dinner table. And there's like
yeah.
a really striking scene that's not until 77, so I'll bring it up then. But yeah, 76 to 77, I've been reminded why Mikasa is probably my favorite character in Attack on Titan.
Yeah. It is. She's even though she had probably the least amount of lines in the entire 2 episodes, her reactions themselves were so impactful
Hmm.
that I'd probably say, like, I felt out of, like, all the characters, she was probably one of the characters that just stood out to me in the like,
I have
other
to
than
agree with
the fights were awesome, like, the conversations that were had. Do I feel a little bit bad for Onion because he's just trying to explain the fact that he does care about the people of Paradise and that he wants to see them succeed? And he's just like he's trying his best to like argue the fact that he wants to them to be saved and that he wants to be like continue to live with these people because he's put in so much effort. I feel bad for him, but Mikasa definitely kind of stole the show in just 3 words or less, which was
Yeah.
kind of no, but I another point that just like kind of like hurt a little bit was when Sasha's family comes out and her dad says, "Can we leave yet?" Which is the most Sasha thing to do. It's like everyone's super serious. They're contemplating the like future of the Eldian people and like things that will essentially lead up to who knows, like 1 2, all of them. There could be a lot of sacrifices that could be happening within like the next few moments or the next few steps that they take, and they're just like, can we leave now? can we can we peace? And then Nicolo's just like, in a moment, just like let them like talk it out, just like let this happen. So
Yeah.
no, it would.
Attack on Titan doesn't do it often, but like every now and then they'll cut the tension with something, and it was very fitting for it to be like, Sasha's family. That
Yeah,
like just
it
this
ha-
one line is like, oh, a little bit of levity.
yeah, it had to be Sasha's family.
of course.
No, it was so so good. But no, let's see. Yeah, the continuing lie. Aaron. Yeah, and Armin kind of continues on to the fact is like, do you really think that Aaron wants us to stop having kids? Like, do you really think that he would do this to all of us? And then Jean tries to say like, well, it's not outrageous that he would do this because it's Aaron. Like, gonna be honest, he does some pretty outlandish things. And then Armin goes off on him, and so then they ultimately, after further discussion, realize like they're going to have to go. They're gonna go. They're gonna go help Aaron, and Armin says that no one will dare touch paradise for the next 50 years, which is a very interesting note because it kind of is almost as if the way that he wants to project it or at least kind of show it is almost like replaying what the original king did, which was close this like the island of paradise up until the point that he knows he's going to die, because he's just like, we won't do anything for 100 years, and then he's just like, I don't need to worry about it at 100-year mark, I'm gonna be
Hmm.
dead. And so like in 50 years time, Armin's going to be dead. The majority of these people might be dead because either A, they've taken on the power of a Titan, because at this point, right now as it stands, Aaron has 8 years, Armin has 8 years. No, 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 no,
You should have
no.
12.
Yeah, Armin has 12. Aaron has 8 because of the time skip between like all the things that are happening right now, because of him being a child and then him actually getting the Titan ability at that particular point and getting the why do I can I not remember the
Attack
names of the
Titan,
Titan?
Founding Titan.
Yeah, the Attack Titan. Duh. It's literally called Attack on Titan, and I can't
Yeah.
remember it. But no, there's this like it kind of
The
had that
Titan
like,
that
at least for
attacked.
me, that kind of stood out that way. I'm just like, there has been someone who said this before, where it's just like no one will dare touch paradise, or no one's going like we're not going to do anything for a certain amount of time, because that they're going to out like that oath is going to outlive them. So no one's going to touch paradise after 50 years, like for 50 years, but what happens after that? And I feel like that kind of led to a lot of people in the room just kind of contemplating the entire thing, because you saw a lot of people like thinking about the answer and the response, how to respond. And then we cut back to Aaron for a moment. He yells in agony, shots from above, bombs being thrown. The war in the city is continuously going, and then the ending
Yes.
comes. That ending.
The song. Is that what you're referring to? Because I know you were talking about this
Yes.
pre-recording.
Yes. That song is so freaking good. I respect that going from the opening song that this is a lot calmer, but it represented a lot, and it was yeah. What did you think about it, Ryan? As someone who's also
Uh,
read the manga, how do you feel about the ending?
I think it's bold. I think they're really just heavy-handed with where they're going at the moment, with especially some of the lyrics in it and everything. I prefer the opening over it, but I do think they um compare and contrast themselves together very well to make a very solid closing and opening to this show for its final moments.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like I
Someone
need to
oh,
pay
continue.
closer attention to the end credit song next time.
Yeah. I'm gonna give one hint to you guys and the listeners. There is a very good comparison video where they take the original opening from season 1 to this season and then compare the two children, which are Aaron and Mikasa as children, and the way that they would react. I'll send it to you guys. But also, in the opening, he says that I never wanted to hold the knife. And so in the end credits, the first thing you see is Aaron as a child holding the knife. So it's just like, I
Mm.
never wanted to do this, but I have to do this. And so he talks about in the ending, it's just like, even though like the mistakes I might make, there's a whole, this could take an entire episode of us talking and
Just
analyzing
about
the
the
opening and
song.
closing. But no, it is very, very good. Also, I just like the point where the lyrics of like, even though this world is cruel, I still love you. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. Rest in peace. That's where my soul left my body. And I'm like, this is yeah. F. Just press F for
Press
respect.
F respects.
Shout out to Holt, great Titan.
But yeah, that was the 76, 77. They just
What?
opened the entire
Actually,
episode again with yeah, what's up?
before we get to episode 77,
Talk
Yeah.
to me.
this episode is brought to you by Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't
Whoa.
hard when you have the right partners, which is why we've partnered up with Buzzsprout to help you succeed. Buzzsprout gets your show listed in every major podcast platform, so join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. You'll get a great looking podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, tools to promote your episodes, and much, much more. Following the link in the description get below lets Buzzsprout know we sent you, gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and help support our show. And now back to the show. Buzzsprout.
Wow. Thank
We
you.
did it.
Whisper.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you, Christian, because I was trying to figure out where the fuck to put that in.
That was a good time. That was a really good time too. Yeah,
I did
no.
it.
I also kind of like I like the reaction earlier when you guys were just like, and that was the end of the episode. I'm like, nope, that was the middle of the episode. There
Well, I
was just
could have
like,
sworn. Yeah.
no. Like I agree. Like there was a lot of like action, and then that felt like a good like ending point. But then they just continued on,
Mm-hmm.
where they had like the dial, like almost kind of feeling like season 4, the first part, where there was a lot of dialogue between them. So it was needed to kind of break up the absolute chaos that was happening.
Oh, there's that word
Um
again.
yeah, that word. That word. Yeah. Looking back at my notes, I'm realizing that I made a little oopsie daisy. Sasha's dad doesn't ask about leaving until episode 77, because that was one of the first things that they kind of go
Oh
into.
no, what a continuity error we have
I
there.
have messed up. I will kind of bow out
Wow.
as the resident storyteller and just leave. Just peace out. No, but they kind of reflect on what happened in 76, where they just have the discussion and continue on with the discussion of what will happen to Parody and the people and what they're going to do. And that's when Sasha's dad says, "Can we leave yet?" And Nico tells him says it shouldn't be any longer. And then Jean gets upset about the fact that Aaron has been dangerous since they were cadets, that he's been. And I'm not specifically calling Aaron this, so please don't come after me if you're an Aaron fan. I'm just quoting Jean. Please leave me alone. He calls him a shithead, who would lead them into hell. He is still but then he kind of admits the fact that he's always envied Aaron for being very cool, which is the only time he's ever complimented Aaron. And he's just like he's pissed off for saying it, but he just doesn't want him to die. Like he
I
kind of admits the fact that he has this internal struggle, and the reason why he was staring off is because in one hand, he's a little shit who needs to get his act together because he's going to kill everyone in the process, but at the same time he's just like, but I respect the hell out of this guy for
Mhm.
doing what he's doing.
I'm probably
Um,
about to say, but god damn, he's looking good with that long hair though.
That he
yeah,
is. That he is.
man, he's looking fresh. Some people can't pull it off. Definitely can pull it off. Yeah, and then Connie just gets mad because he's just like, if he dies early, I can't hit him in the face. I just want to hit him. And I'm like, you know what? Valid. Connie,
Mm-hmm.
you do you, buddy. I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy that out of
Take
everyone
your
else's
shot, Connie.
I'm happy with like everyone else's inner monologue and like their inner like thoughts are like thinking of the future, thinking of like how Aaron has affected everybody. And Connie's just like, I just want to smack him. I just want to slug him in the face. That's why he needs to live.
I mean, he
To
needs
each
it.
their own.
He needs to get socked.
He needs a good
He's
slap in the
missing a
face.
piece of his head at the moment.
Oh,
I
A
that's
mean,
piece,
true. Yeah.
I'm like, a
Okay.
piece
Yeah.
of his skull is gone out the back of his head.
I
He
mean,
is not well. He's walking.
yeah, he is walking. And I will admit, I was concerned for a split second, mostly because when he started yelling at the end and at the very beginning of this episode, I'm like, "Oh no, everyone's going to change." And then in my head, I'm just like, "Wait a second. That's not his ability." And for that reason, they're okay for now. But it kind of implemented something like that might come because he's like screaming, like yelling, which is one of another Titan's abilities, Zeke's ability.
Ah.
So he's just constantly yelling, and I'm just like, is this his way of like trying to show like or like be make someone like Zeke aware where he is? Like, I don't know.
I
It might
think he
just
was just in pain
I
from
mean, he
getting
was
his
in
head
pain, but
blasted
it lasted
open.
a little bit longer. Aaron, I know
Yeah.
he's a little bit of a crybaby sometimes, and if you don't think he's a crybaby, check out season 1. He was a little bit of a crybaby, but
Aaron was a little bit of a bitch back in the day.
season
Dang.
1, he cried about everything. But
Am I
now
wrong?
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But yeah, they all leave the dungeon. Mikasa questions why Aaron would have pushed them away in the first place because that didn't seem genuine, and that just didn't seem like why would he waste his time doing that? And then Armin tries to explain the fact that like he used information that he already previously knew, like the headaches, as a way to make his lie more genuine. So the headaches seem to be pinpointing towards like yes, it's something that you deal with on a regular basis, and I know that this is a way for me to push you away. So the
Mhm.
headaches, commenting on everything, it was a good way to like show that he had some understanding, but also the same way use the best way to tell a lie is using pieces of information that are factual, and that's what he did. And so
And a
that's why
lie
Armin's
within
is
the
like, I
truth.
can overlook this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, even though it kind of like tolls with like Armin's thoughts, and he also kind of has a flashback to the ocean scene, which is a very prolific scene because everyone makes fun of the fact that like everyone's having fun at the beach, and then here's Aaron pointing out at the ocean and says,
So
"Hey,
depressing.
if we kill all of our enemies over there, we'll be we be finally free." Which like the only beach day in the entire series, and you have to think about that. Okay, cool
It's
beans.
so sad. Like it didn't really hit me until that moment. Like just thinking back to season 1 because obviously I watched the recap. It's probably why. But like
Yeah,
thinking back when he would like be reading those books about the sea and like what that meant to him and like wanting to reach it because it meant freedom, and then just to see like where his mind state is at like at the end of that season, it's like, oh damn, like he really did go through some trauma, like he's messed up. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that moment of realization of that I have reached this goal I've had for my entire life, but I am still bound and chained to this.
Mm,
They just keep dumping titans here. It's all coming together. Like, yes, this is a beach and this is the what I've wanted to see, but then I still have enemies just right beyond those waters that are still just trying to screw us over after 150 years. And it's not getting better, so we're gonna have to go over there.
Yeah.
And that may have not been their best play because now they're here.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it has been yeah, I don't know if my thoughts about like things like the Labario massacre still make me question some of like I understand it was an extraction plan, but there was ways that they could have maybe done that differently. But you know what?
Did we need to use Colossal Titan as a nuclear bomb? Probably not. Did
Did
that
we have
give Aaron mental Armin
Armin?
mental damage? Armin has mental damage now? Yes.
Yeah. No. Is everyone messed up now? Did we lose one of the best girls because of this incident? Yes. Yes, we
Mm.
did. I'm still bitter about it. I will forever be bitter about it. I'm just saying. She is still my picture on Discord and she forever will be one of my favorite characters in
In
anime.
memoriam.
Yeah.
It's a memoriam. No one knows, but it's actually a memoriam. Is my Discord photo.
I'll throw a potato PNG up on OBS.
Oh, the potatoes. But no, so they man, also kind of like good on them for being able to have this like really intense conversation running upstairs for about 4 minutes. These stairs one are incredibly long because they're just having this conversation as they're running up this dungeon, which I'm realizing now as I'm like reading through my notes. I'm like, this was a long conversation to be having with no breathiness as they're just hiking up. They're not even just like walking, they are running at a sprint up these. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that they're fit, but there's like even if you're fit, I don't think you could be able to do what they're doing currently. I
There's like
digress.
not even a rough exhalation once. It's just like
Yeah,
straight
They're like,
conversation. Damn.
I'm
yeah,
good. Yeah, it's fine. We're just talking. We're talking
yeah.
and
I mean,
moving.
I understand that there's titans and that a bunch of other things, and there's things called paths, and the realism of this anime is so far fetched at this point. But now I'm pinpointing the fact that they were able to run upstairs with no breathiness is my concern. I'm like, man, that fight was awesome. Everything is great. Running up the stairs for 4 minutes without taking like any sort of like heavy
Unbelievable.
breath. I don't believe it. But no, they Armin, I believe at this point kind of convinces Mikasa, but Mikasa still seems to be relatively on the fence about everything. But yeah, he kind of tools with his thoughts and mentions the fact both him and yeah, they've already talked about the like headaches, and so then everything outside is continuing on. They kind of go do a quick recap of what was said last episode, including like this was Tiber's sacrifice, and that's why they were able to do this, and that they need a new Helios, a hero of the world. Which right now the Marlians are looking for their new hero. Elena thinks that it's Zeke and Aaron. She is putting all her eggs in that one particular basket, and everyone seems to be moving around this particular like essentially this playing field. This is like a chessboard that has like
Hmm.
10 levels at this point, and people keep on getting moved to different platforms, and some of them are just like off the platforms completely because they're currently in like hiatus, like maybe who knows what's happening.
Like
But
Luna.
yeah, they just all over the place, just all over the place. Yeah, so the first section is following up what happened last episode. Aaron continuously yells, summoning more spikes. Reiner questions why he's continuing in the first place because it seems as though Reiner is currently in the dark on what the entire plan is between Aaron and Zeke or what is even happening. Sorry. Galliard
Galliard.
comes in and tries to take out Aaron again. Does not work. I feel like if I was him, I would probably give up at this point. I don't know. Like I understand.
Every every time I see Galliard slash Jaws Titan, I think he's going to die because I don't
Yes.
remember when something bad will happen to him. So I'm just like, is he dead now? Like, every time he gets hit, I'm like, did that one do it?
He,
And then that brawny little creature gets up and he's back at it.
he
Yeah.
got close
No,
to
Jaws.
being 8 in part 1, yeah?
Yes, very
Yeah,
Yeah,
much
okay.
so. When he
Yeah.
gets his head ripped to
they
shreds
Yeah,
they
okay.
open.
cracks the jaw.
Now I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah,
How could I forget?
his
Yeah.
brutality.
I feel like the Jaws Titan has some of the most brutal incidences that happen.
I
Like
think
the
it's big.
original one that came in like season 4, part 1, they showed the fact that he just gets eaten.
Hmm.
And then um getting sacrificed. Now this one in particular, he's like a little puppet. Like he's just like a sock puppet that continuously gets thrown around like as if he's nothing. And I d- I respect him, but it doesn't work. Yeah, they then hear someone out in the distance, or at least there is some huge colossal like artillery splatter, but it's not artillery. They're massive boulder pieces. As the Wonder Boy himself, Zeke, appears from the top of the frickin' Shiganshina wall, just hanging out. And he says, I'm a little late, but I made it to where we promised to meet. Good job hanging in there. Leave it to your big brother. And that's when the opening starts. What a fucking opening. Like, just like comes in, causes pure utter like
Shout
bloody
out to
mess.
baseball monkey.
Yeah, baseball monkey's back with a sneak
Oh,
attack.
I hate that.
Why do you hate that?
I just don't like. No. No.
You don't like baseball monkey?
I just don't like that Titan looks like a monkey. It's just weird.
He's a beast titan.
Like Bigfoot.
Okay. Yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
No, there's something weird about it. It's the lankiness of the arms and the legs. It just creeps me out.
Yeah. I think it's like because he's a royal blood that's why he looks as weird as he
I think
does.
he looks weird. I think to me the weirdest looking one is Orman in Colossal Titan form. He looks
He has baby
just
face. Baby
yeah,
face
it's
without
Yeah.
skin.
odd. I'm like, this is upsetting to look at.
Yeah, it
At least
is.
like Beast Titan usually is crouching, so he doesn't look as bad. Orman's just straight walking.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I don't know. As much as I like Peck, the the card titan though, is not a looker. That is for sure. Yeah, so the blimps get bombarded by massive rocks, rock shards. They're not even rocks, they're boulder shards, like quite honestly. It's Hindenburg all over again, is what I currently have in my notes. And it continues on for the rest of the episode. The commander points out points him out, and Peck tells him to watch out. Peck almost falls again. It's a theme for Pike, at least for throughout these episodes, and tells the commander trying to nuke him isn't the best idea that they have. They need to do something different. Even though the commander continuously goes on saying we have to punish him, that's not going to work. At this point, Flock and the douche brigade come in to flank the cart titan, and Zeke continues with his massive baseball throws. That is what I currently have in my notes. Should I
What was
leave?
I
What's up?
going to say? Where is he getting all of these rocks?
Great
Yeah.
question, because they were nowhere near. Like you do not see them on
No.
the wall. Like, is he taking
So
pieces of the wall and just
I
throwing?
think that's what he's doing. Is like ripping the side
It
of the
has to be.
wall and then just yeeting.
But there's no pieces missing. Like now I have to go back and watch this because I did not see any part of that wall missing when he started throwing.
No, he
Could be
is
like
just
behind him,
throwing.
the other side of the wall, like the
Mm.
exterior part, but yeah. There's no actual explanation.
That one, what a weirdo. Why would what?
Thank you.
Zeke's ability is weird.
Being good at baseball.
Just being good at baseball. Like, what happens if he didn't like learn how to like throw? Like, what would the Beast Titan be doing right now?
Okay, that's my question, right? Because everyone has
Screaming.
abilities, but throwing doesn't seem like an ability for me. Like that, just, like with extreme accuracy, that just seems like something Zeke is good at, not the Beast Titan,
Well, he
right?
can scream.
But that scream is
Right.
the royal ability. It's not
Oh,
the
that's right. It's not the Beast Titan
the
ability.
Beast Titan. I think is useless. I think that's why the original Beast Titan was like he was just like that's why he stood around and did nothing and he just learned all the time because he had this ability which we still don't know what his predecessors like Beast Titan looked like. Some
Mhm.
people think it was the whale Titan, like the whale that came like you see in I think it was in last season's opening. There was a whale in the
Yeah.
like so there was like different beasts and they think it was the whale, which is he may have been the whale one, which would not have helped anybody except if they had like some sort of like aquatic defenses that they needed. Because what is a whale gonna do? Like, I'm a whale titan, like on land.
Yeah,
What am I gonna do?
that's
Get
fair.
thrown by the armor titan? Like, are we
Ac-
gonna use me as a whip? Like, what?
According
Oh my god.
to the Attack on Titan fandom wiki, up until Zeke, it was a useless Titan ability.
Wow.
Yeah.
They take various animal types among them, but that's about it. But it had no combat purposes.
Huh.
So you'd kind of just look like an animal.
Yeah. You just look
Amazing.
like an animal, which is
Useful?
it useful? Is it useful being a whale on land, Ryan? What are you gonna do? Flop around? Like, I think that's probably more useless than the Titan from season was it 3? The faceless Titan?
The one that was just dragging its head along the
Yeah, like,
ground?
Oh
I
my
think the whale
god.
Titan's less useless than that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Actually, more useless. Like, what is a whale gonna do? Like,
Absolutely nothing.
just like
Well,
Yeah.
you could put boulders in its blowhole and it can like mortar them.
where's the water coming from, though?
That's a great question. You just need a crew of people with water to make sure it stays damp. Like when there's like a beached whale.
Just put him in a tank of water the entire time and be like, just put a boulder
That's
on top
one
of his
option.
blowhole.
That is the only option.
No, the
Oh
second
my
is that you throw them like in human form and then they like transform in midair and they just like land on top of something and just crush everything.
Just blubber.
Yeah, blubber.
If he had like a way to like rapidly decay himself, a whale is a bomb. A whale, that's a whole other conversation. That's nothing to do with this. But I'm just saying,
Analyzing this whale.
that's why when you see dead whales on the beach, they tell you do not get close to it because if it gets to
explode.
a particular,
Yeah,
they
they
explode.
That's
So
right.
that's why I'm saying if he had a rapid decay ability, he would just explode on people.
Mm.
If he was, you're welcome. It's the
The
comment.
content
That's how
could
you
be
can make him
looking
not
forward
useless.
to
Yeah,
during
much
this
to think
Attack
about.
on Titan season review, people.
It's just
The
talking
big
about
questions.
whales.
I needed this.
Oh my god. But yeah, what a yeah, Aaron um nonchalantly recognizes the fact that Zeke is there and proceeds to do the longest run. I don't understand Aaron the ability that he has. I think one of his abilities as a Titan is being the slowest moving Titan that takes from one point A to point B. Because this is what happened in season 1 when he had to carry the boulder on his shoulder. I gave him the credit there. This guy is in full sprint, running towards the wall, and it takes him the entire episode and still doesn't make it.
Is he sprinting?
To be fair, no, he's limping.
Oh, he's
He
limping.
is-
Yes, he's limping. But still, I don't think he's that. The distance isn't great enough for him to not reach to the end.
Well, we
Because-
have to get to the second surprise shot.
I mean, valid. Valid. Either way, no. My apologies. Yes, he was limping because he didn't get out of that Titan to become a new Titan. Because
No, he is
there's
just
no time for that.
he is just moving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because he's crystallized for the most part. Because he has to
Yeah.
protect his nape of his neck and stuff like that. But he has regeneration. I'm not going to question it. He's limping and continue. He's like essentially a time mark on how this episode is moving. He's just like, okay, so he's at this particular building, so we know that we're at like 45% of the episode. Either way, I digress. Um, yeah, Marlians and Eldians know what will happen if the brothers touch. However, Colt knows that this is not the fight that they can join and tells them to not mess around with it. And they proceed to realize that they have their own battles that they have to face and that it's a race against the clock. And so they are trying to find their goal, find Falco, get him out of the city and as far away as they can, because if Zeke is there, it is only a matter of time until Falco becomes a Titan. And so that's their current goal.
Dude,
You have a smirk on your face, Christian. What's going
I
on
know.
over there?
It just, as you were talking, it hit me like, because I knew the next episode was called Two Brothers, and I'm like, man, who? I have to apologize before I say this. Who are the two brothers? Like, I wonder who, like, what kind of characters we're gonna get a look at next. And it's like, duh, it's Zeke and Aaron.
Two brothers, my friend. Yeah.
Mhm.
Two brothers.
Are they gonna
Two
touch?
brothers.
I don't know. We'll see.
Are they gonna touch? Who knows?
Two brothers? Are they gonna touch? Find out next.
Out of context, this just sounds like a very different show.
That sounds real bad. Sounds real bad.
Oh my god. Yeah. So Colt is like we need to go find Falco. Gabby tells them exactly where it is, and that they need to head south to escape. He tells Gabby to like escape on the airship. He's just like, go
Mhm.
south as far as you can and get on an airship and leave. You do not need to be here anymore. And she says, I refuse to. He's sacrificed himself so many times for me, and he's the top of the class. He's the one who needs to continue the legacy. And for that reason, I have to go with you. And so they end up running off. And we get a glimpse of where Falco currently is. He's just hanging out with a bunch of officers who are currently pending demise and freaking out about the fact that they're like, I'm not going to die in here. And some beg to be released. The officers point out it's a Marlian attack. The specific officer who is sitting across from him, who I apologize, I constantly forget his name, and I will find out what it is in a moment here. But points out the fact that like he doesn't Falco want to go home and see his family. Like he knows that the officer recognizes that his time is numbered and that he knows that he's not going to see his wife and daughters again. And he wanted to see his daughters and he had so much to tell them, but he knows that he's going to die. And that it may as well be dead. Jean and the others finally make their way up the stairs.
It was a long run.
It was a long run. It was a very long run. The cadets, there's a cadet who tries to stop them, does not work well. I think the guy may have relieved himself a little bit when he saw Jean and he's just like, do you want us to stop us from helping your Lord Jaeger?
Lord Jaeger.
Look, Connie demands that all the cells be open. One of which is holding up Worse for Wears, who is Commander Pegasus, and tells Connie that he got attacked by a bear and that he should be left alone. That's his usual. Like he has some dark humor because he goes into when Armin comes up to him and says, "Are you okay?" He says, "I haven't lost my marbles yet, but I do have a little bit of a drinking problem."
I like that line. I thought it was good.
I'm like, oh my god, this guy. Oh my god. He continues and does a motivational speech, realizing that the people with the black band should not be the ones who take the ODM gear. They are the ones who have to sit in the front of the lines and protect the others. And so they say that whoever drank the wine has to go with Pixis. What's up, Christian?
Is the person with Falco Nile Dock? The commander of the military police department. Regiment.
He is the one who's with Falco, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's Officer Nile. I forgot his name. Thank you.
Mhm.
It is Officer Nile.
Sick.
Yes. Yeah. Good eye. That is for some reason the officers I have terrible name remember there's so many names.
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people going on.
There's a lot of people in this show.
There's a lot of people. There's more people in the show than there was in Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones had a lot of people. This one has so many people. So many people. Um, yeah, to the point that I forgot the name of the girl who was with Mikasa, when Mikasa's suiting up, that I just put Blondie. I know that she is the girlfriend of the guy who died in season 3. And so she was in love with the guy in the police regiment. The guy from the police regiment switched over to the scouting regiment, proceeding to go to the wall in season 3 and getting like essentially blown in half by a rock missile from Zeke. I do not remember her name. I apologize. For my notes, I wrote as Blondie. Should have looked up her name. However, I did not at this time. And then we notice that Mikasa takes off her scarf, folds it up,
Hmm.
and places it on the table.
Amazing scene.
And when she said, when the girl says, "You're leaving your scarf," which is essentially her signature look, or at least signature item, Mikasa, all she does is she kind of just takes a moment, like looking away, looks back at her and says, "I am," and then walks out. Whew.
Poignant.
That scene made me cry. I was sitting there and I'm just like, "You son of a bitch." Like,
Yeah. Because
it
it comes from a place of hurt, but also a place of growth from her. Like it's weirdly a little bit of both. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a goodbye to a past that is now long forgotten.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's how I'd put it, is that it's never going to be these kids in the cadets fighting these titans, just trying to think that's the only biggest fear they have now.
Yeah.
Now it is worldwide calamity in all which ways it could go bad for everyone.
Yeah.
So, time to realize those dreams are gone. The minute you reach that beach, all those dreams are gone.
Yeah. It is it's definitely hard to watch. And then yeah. Also, I just want to say, going back to the closing song, if you know, I know that this is me going back to it. In the first few seconds, what happens is Aaron is standing there with a knife in his hand and he has a scarf. The scarf flies off of his neck and turns into a bird, which birds in the show represent freedom. And so her taking off the scarf is her getting her freedom back. So,
Oh, I love that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
It's
this
really cool.
it's so freaking good. It's so good. It just oh, okay. Anyway, continuing on. Whoo! Um, yes. So, the team is ready to go. They look like the frickin' A team. They are suited up. They are the Avengers. They have their original gear. Some of them now have lightning rods, but they are going out and they are ready to fight. Then we get to the most sane person that has ever made their way into the Attack on Titan lore. Yelena is standing on the edge of a wall with her arms in the air, praising the fact that there are a bunch of burning blimps above her, and praising her lords and saviors, Aaron and Zeke, the Jaegers. She is happy and excited about essentially the bloodshed and the fact that she is going to be witnessing history. This is the moment in which history shall change. Like, this is everything to her.
Okay.
Um,
This scene for me and
yes.
the one before when they were coming up the stairs like really cemented the fact that part 2 really understands its tone that it needs to go for, and they do that
Mhm.
through its cinematography, specifically like framing. Obviously it's not an actual camera because like it's animation, right? But like
Yeah.
the way they consider how, I mean, I guess maybe the manga did it too. I don't know, maybe you guys can speak to that, but yeah, the way these shots are compromised, I think just elevates like the material a lot more, like to like I said earlier, an actual like finale that is
Yeah.
like really engaging for me. Like I don't know,
I
it draws
I
me in.
have to totally agree with you. It wasn't as prominent as it in the manga, but because
Yeah.
of course being now on film and on that, you can do those cinematic angles and all that. I do think it really adds to it as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah. It
I
was
definitely noticed that as well.
so, like, I think it was needed to be able to kind of reflect the tone and what's to come in the next 12 episodes. Sorry, the next 10 episodes. Math. Um, so I'm really excited to see that they went this route. They have been really true to the manga over the last season as well. Some of the like specific times are a little bit different when it comes to like different scenes. However, everything is pretty much genuine to the manga, so it's really nice to see that because I decided to afterwards watching the anime to go back and I'm like, okay, this is awesome. But yeah, God, Yelena. Oh, Yelena. And then this is the halfway point. And they kind of talk about the fact that this definitely seems to be a Marleyan, like essentially a military log, because they talk about the fact the goal of the surprise of the attack is to retake the founding titan. It is unknown what conditions must be met to activate the founding titan's power. So the only person in Marley who knew what was needed to be able to activate the founding titan at that particular point was Zeke. And
Hmm.
so at that point they realized that like at least for me, I recognize like okay, this is just the continuation of like this is the Marleyan like military logs or at least the books or the information that we're getting from
Mhm.
Yeah.
each set. Yeah. So Aaron continues on towards Zeke. Reiner tries to stop him again, completely fails because Zeke takes him out with a boulder. Um, Zeke Reiner's not doing well at this point. His jaw, like the Titan's jaw is broken. He's broken, but he seems to have a lot more life than he did in season like the first part of season 4, which I'm really here for because it kind of gets me excited again to see like Reiner and I want to see a little bit more of the armor Titan ability because we didn't really get to like yes, we got to see him run through a wall in season 1, but just being able to see kind of like him like have that like rejuvenation of like just like his fight back because last
Mhm.
season I was like really like you just wanted to give Reiner a hug. Season 4.1 was like I want to give Reiner a hug. Now I'm
He
just
was
like
down.
go for it,
Yeah.
Reiner. Like I don't like at this point there's like so many people I'm cheering for that are against each other that I'm just like I'm just cheering for the people. I'm just like
Mm.
not specifically who's on what side. Yeah, and he's just confused why Levi would let Zeke Jean both Jean and Connie are concerned about the fact like why is Zeke here? Why did he get released? Like why would Levi would not have let him go? Mikasa essentially in this scene is completely unfazed. She's just like just sitting like just standing there like okay, just like I this is obviously going to happen. Um Elena points out the obvious that Zeke took them all out. So he took out all the officers and military guys that were with Zeke, and Zeke made a promise, and he knew that he had to make it to get to Aaron. Armin rallies the team up and essentially is on the side of Yelena and the Jaegerists. She has the most
Yes.
the face, the freaking face, girl. What the flip was that? Yeah, she
It's up
goes
on the
from like
screen right now. It's insane. This
yeah,
face.
it's
Yeah.
terrifying. By the way,
Mhm.
shot for shot, like in the manga, like that
Yep.
face was drawn in the manga. That was terrifying. And then she goes from that to happy and tearful that she's like
Thank you for
overjoyed
helping
about the
Aaron.
fact that they're there to help. Yeah, and
Insane.
she's just like, I believe in you. And I put this girl has no chill. By the way, happy birthday. Because I wanted to see like I was just curious because I wanted to see like what her horoscope was. And then I was just like, honestly, like I wouldn't have been shocked if she was like a Gemini a little bit. She has like Gemini a little bit of Gemini vibes. But like her emotions and like her overwhelming emotions, I'm like, I would not be shocked if they're like, she's a cancer. And I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I kind of get it. But then like an Aquarius, I'm like,
Mm.
cool.
It
That
feels right.
it feels right. Yeah, the team goers go I put I essentially called the main squad the A team goes and to help Aaron reach Zeke. And so now go back to Colt and Gabby, which are currently a team that are working together to go find Falco. However, they do find Falco, but they also find a large portion of the police regiment outside of the building after
Yeah.
they all just got released, which kind of was really concerning because you would assume that obviously Officer Nile might come up and kill Colt and Gabby because he also has a gun. He's grabbed Falco and he's just like, oh, who is like, who is that? And then Falco says, that's my brother. And so he takes him, walks over, and then just lets Falco go. and
Yes.
says, "Get out of here." He tells them all to leave. And I'm like, you know, when he did, like, at least for myself, this is me thinking, this is never said. It almost has felt as though, like, this is what he would have done for his daughters, and so he wanted to do that for them because he's just like, "You guys are young, you guys deserve more, you need to leave." And I was just like, "That's so sad."
I
I took
love.
it
Oh, sorry.
as
Go ahead, Ren.
um he looked at the events. He's been around long enough to see any way this goes could be the end for everything. I should at least let him spend time with his family because I can't.
Yeah,
Mm. Oh, good
yeah.
point.
It was hard to watch, yeah. And then gotta be on the lookout for them, and say, "Why did you" yeah, on the lookout. Colt asks, "Why did you trust the enemy?" Now Colt's questioning them, like, "Why would you trust them at this point?" And then God, this particular scene. I can admit when I am wrong, and this scene made me feel things for Gabby I have not, because it hurt. It hurt really badly because you see Niccolo and Sasha's family, and the three of them, Colt, Falco, and Gabby, overhear Sasha's family talking about the fact that Sasha's parents are concerned for Mia and Ben, who were essentially their
Yeah.
nicknames
Mhm.
when they were at the farm. And Sasha's mother is just like, "I sure hope that Mia and Ben are okay." And Sasha's dad says, "I reckon those two are fighters. They'll be all right." Um, and you just kind of see Gabby kind of like feel like the tears are already starting for her, and it's like hurting. But then you obviously hear Sasha's adopted sister saying that, like, "I wish I could kill her." Like, why
Hmm.
would you care about someone who killed Sasha? So Gabby's obviously like th- essentially torn. But at the same time, she admits the fact that, like, no one here were devils. Nobody here
Yes.
on this island were devils. They were just people. And I finally understand Reiner. And she says, "We just decided that these people that we never met were devils doing the same things over and over and over again."
Hmm.
And then she apologizes for everything, including bringing Falco to the island. And then she puts the blame on herself, but then Falco blames himself because he was essentially the information runner between Zeke and Aaron the entire time when Aaron was in pain and currently going through a lot of stuff. And he helped a wounded soldier who was Aaron. He also admits the fact that he helped a lot. Also, he confesses his love for Gabby, telling her that if he wants them to make it out there alive, and that he wants to marry her, and that they can live together a long time. I felt bad at this point
Yeah.
because, and I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a different, like, obviously, when I read the manga, like, I was still like, at that particular point when I was reading it in the concept, like, the back to back that I read it, it was Sasha died, all of this happened, then I got to this point and I'm like, "F Gabby, I don't care." But, like, having a long time
Time.
to think about it over, and
Yeah.
then also seeing it as in the anime, I'm just like, "You know what? I can see this kind of, like, change." So it was, am I still mad at Gabby? Absolutely. Do I feel bad for her now? Sure. But yeah, she is hella
But
embarrassed
but
by
at
him
least like
mentioning it.
at least we know now that she feels bad about her actions, you know? Like
Yeah.
that's all I wanted in part 1 is to her to understand like there are no bad guys. Like well, I mean, I guess they are, but like it's not as black and white as Gabby thinks it is.
No.
And like you already
Yeah.
mentioned how great
It's
that line is, but yeah.
no, it's completely like, at this point she's realizing her mistakes, I appreciate the fact that, like, one of her biggest mistakes in one of the flashbacks that first came up was seeing Sasha. She's
Mhm.
recognized that that was a massive mistake. And it's upsetting because, like, she cared for Sasha's family. She even still cares for the sister even though she hates her. And I know it's an adopted sister because she was the girl that Sasha saves in season 2?
Yeah, yeah, with the
Yeah.
axe.
Yeah, it was season 2.
Mm.
I was trying to figure out if it was, like, mentally season 3 or season 2. It was season 2. Yeah. And then she proceeds to get super embarrassed. He mentions the fact that he may turn into a Titan and he needed her to know that he loved her. And she rips the band off, which once again appreciate the fact that she did that, symbolizing that he is his own person and his freedom, and that they know the importance of getting him as far away of Zeke as they need to. Aaron continues to Man, my notes
Saunter.
were rude. I was real rude. I put Aaron continues to slow ass walk down the street. Um, I was
I,
so I was just like, oh my god. Zeke
The whale would
smashes
make it
the jaw.
faster.
Yeah, the this scene, my god. Yeah, the rock smashing to Gilliard's face, and mentioning the fact that they're so close to their dream. The Titan, like they see the cart Titan who was smoking, so they assume that she was taken out. And Flock comes up and says, like, great job, guys, for taking her out. And they're like, wait, we thought you did. And then all of a sudden, we find out that she's not dead or taken out. She's just hiding in her own skull, which out of context sounds absolutely barbaric and confusing. She's sitting in the Card Titan's skull as a human, just yelling out commands and saying, like, we need to make sure we're okay. Like, we need to, like, get cover. They're trying to shoot out Zeke, which they do. They
and
blow Zeke's neck off.
Hmm.
sh-
Or like the
shout
side of the
out
neck,
to
right?
shout out
Yeah.
to the gunner, the commander of all people, who wanted his revenge at Zeke.
And he got it.
He got it.
He got his freaking revenge, and he blows his neck off, back of the nape of the neck, and he falls to the ground. Which technically, honestly, probably should have done it the other way around, so Zeke was blown off of the other side of the wall,
Yeah, that would
because
have
they
been
just made it a
better.
lot easier for them to do that.
Now, was there something inherently comical about the way Zeke fell off the wall? I'm going to
Oh,
say yes.
Oh
come
yes.
on.
He just went fucking limp and just zoop.
He's just like doo 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 doo,
Oh
just
no,
falling
he's
from the
gone.
sky. What a champ.
He's
Yeah,
fine.
Marley.
He's fine. He'll get up.
He'll get up. I even put in my notes. I'm like, kind of made it a little bit easier for Aaron to read Zeke there, but good job. Yeah, the Marlians tell Reiner to stop Aaron, and then Reiner finally puts the pieces together as to what's going on. He's just like, now I know that I need to stop you. Why are you doing this? Because out of anybody in the entire world, there's one person that should not have that power, and that's you. And proceeds to run. Commander points out Zeke has just 1 ounce of power left. He will scream, turning our young Falco into a Titan. And that is the end of the episode.
Bro, the way I gasped at the end when it all clicked for me too, just knowing like there's like that cutaway when Falco is like and Gabby are running and like they're talking about like and you hear like Reiner talking about like how he can't scream and then it just cuts to like Zeke on the floor. That gasp I let
Yeah.
out like oh my god like it could be coming any moment.
At any moment. Now
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
it just getting
if it's gonna happen,
Gabby
it's
and
happening
Colt
soon.
away from
No, well
Falco.
they're
'Cause-
running to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
but
if Zeke knows
yeah,
he won't scream, right? Is the thing. So you just
yeah,
got it's like a race against time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And on so many fronts, it's a race against time.
Yeah.
Now, I have one last thing I want us to discuss before we close out this show after that.
Okay.
Amazing breakdown as always. I have missed them. And that is Christian. Where do you think this is going? I want some theories from you.
Me? Dude,
Yeah.
I'm along for the ride, man. I mean, obviously
What?
the big not even the theory like I like, at this point I know like the rumbling is gonna happen. I don't know what that looks like, especially when you said like oh yeah this is like some Neon Genesis Evangelion stuff. Now I know the rumbling's gonna happen. As to what that looks like, I can't wait to find out because I need to understand this is the thing for me. I need to understand everyone's like motivations beyond just like
Mhm.
ending war and stuff. I really want to understand Aaron the most because he's like just like this big blank slate for me. I don't know what are his thoughts behind him right now.
Mhm.
My guess is that we're gonna get to like some big monologue in a few episodes. Maybe my hope. I don't know. So yeah, that's where I'm at,
Just an episode that's 15 minutes of Aaron just going on philosophically.
and I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, no, I'd be hyped about that. All right, all right. That brings us to uh the last segment I have for Anime Nation. As always, it is Manga Corner, where I recommend a manga to read. Because not enough people read manga, then I want more people to read manga. And one I'll be recommending this week is technically a manhwa, so a Korean manga. And it is Solo Leveling. It is finished. It is one of the best written mangas I've ever read. It is about a typical isekai. Person gets sent to another world after death. The gimmick here is he can level up in this video game world like typical, but everyone else's power levels are capped.
Hmm.
So it's about him grinding his way to the top, but then it turns into a political thing because countries hold people of like major power as human weapons, basically. So I figure it fell along with the same thing of human weapons and all that, along with Attack on Titan here, and the political aspects of it. So I figured it'd be a good recommendation if you enjoy Attack on Titan. Similar themes, similar element. And with that, that brings us to plugs.
Here's
Oh
here's
wait,
my
Christian, what you got?
here's my manga corner. Everyone go read the Among Us manga. I don't know when that's out, but that's a thing that's happening.
That should not be a thing that's happening.
It is. It's
I
happening.
I I, I thought that was a meme. Oh god, that's
No,
real.
it's real.
I
Yeah.
would also like to suggest a manga that's coming out
Yeah,
soon. It
yeah.
is all the scions in high school. Final Fantasy 14, the 7 scions, they're going to be high school students. So enjoy. I don't know when that's coming out. No, there's actually like some that I would recommend at a later point, but I just thought it was
Hmm.
pretty interesting because that was one of the endpoints at one of their live letters. They're like, here's a bunch of stuff, and we're making a manga about the scions as teenagers. And I'm like, sick. Like, why not?
Thank you, Square Enix.
Thank you.
Enjoy my money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with that, that brings us to plugs. Christian, what are you plugging today?
Yeah, please follow me at ISO Christian over on Twitter to keep up with all the things I do, like my movie podcast, Large Popcorn, video game podcast, Podcast PXN, and then this channel, Penultimate Conquest. I have a new video essay coming out next week. If I can finish the edit
Ooh,
on time.
exciting. And
Mm-hmm.
can't wait for that movie club with Large
Yeah,
Popcorn.
yeah.
Can't wait. That's it's gonna be so much fun. Love that idea. And Fee, what do you have to plug today?
Um, I will plug one. We just came back. Speaking of Stadia, we had our 35th episode over at the Game Source Network, so definitely check it out. You can definitely hear us be a little bit bitter when it comes to Stadia, but we digress. Also, tomorrow night, I have a podcast, obviously, called Point in Progress. We live record every Friday night, usually around 8:30 to 9 o'clock EST. Tomorrow night is definitely going to be an interesting topic. We're going to be talking about the Xbox acquisition, and I'm probably going to
Ooh,
voice my absolute frustrations about it.
Oh,
ooh.
So
nice.
definitely check it out because I do not think it is great. Anywho, that
Can't wait to
that is
hear
an
about that.
also, I recorded my game of the year for 2021 a few weeks ago. You can still check it out over on our YouTube. And I talk about things like Inscription and Loop Hero and some other games that definitely took over my life in 2021. So definitely
I
sure
want
to
to give
check
a
that out.
big shout out to all those videos you guys
Mm-hmm.
made. They were amazing. I loved
Um,
watching them throughout that week.
Mario, I'm like to this day, like I cannot thank Mario enough because that man freaking like he didn't get tested, but I swear he had COVID and he was sicker than a dog. And he was coming in, he's just like, "Do you have your video yet?" And he's like dying,
Oh,
but he like edited the
oh,
entire thing. He's getting everything. I don't know how he was lucid enough to be able to do his own video, let alone the rest of ours. So I cannot thank him enough for doing that. But yeah, definitely check them out. They're all really awesome. And I'm looking forward to doing more content like that. So
it was
definitely make sure
super,
to
super cool.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I'll just be plugging like normal my Twitter, Ryan the Line 3055, where you can get my hot takes and find out wherever the hell I am on this wild world of the internet. And with that, I thank you all for listening. Have a fantastic night and goodbye.
Bye.